Yes, good evening, everyone. Here we are in Paris. This is Trice of UFO Global Focus, and it's my privilege here to be in a French ufological bookstore. It also carries a number of very important works on the paranormal. And here, I think we're just going to reference this store as one of the finest in Paris. I'll be happy to furnish the address for any of my friends who plan to be visiting this beautiful city soon. I'm very impressed by the book collection and also by the store's clients here. Very educated people, and the store owner is one of the most well-researched individuals in ufology and the paranormal that I've ever had the good fortune of meeting. Now, sir, graciously, you've agreed to answer some questions. There won't be too many. But first of all, I'd like to know, what were your motivations in establishing this bookstore in Paris?
Well, my main motivations were basically to give people an education. When I say an education, means give them something different from the indoctrination that the system hammers onto people. It's very good to open people up to other realities, to let them see their true potential, who they really are. That is, divine beings, illuminated beings, illuminated in the good sense, and that are all-powerful beings. And all the subjects covered in here tells them their true nature, the true nature of their body, the true nature of their soul, and opens them to all different kinds of reality.
Very intriguing. Now, I know the bookstore is located in a very historic location. Also, could you describe some of your book collection and the research and topic areas you think are most relevant for this time period?
Well, the research that's the most relevant is the research on UFOs and on conspiracy, but also on alternative medicine, because they all complement each other. UFOs actually tell you that we're not alone, and there's all different civilizations from other galaxies, other dimensions, other time levels, even from the center of the Earth. Alternative medicine shows that there's other ways to cure serious disease or less serious disease than the poisons that are administered by certain pharmaceutical laboratories. And conspiracy really shows us how the world is run.
Yes, indeed, and I noticed too, for our art connoisseurs, interesting paintings of other planets and cultures. Very well done, very innovative. I'd love to see some of these in the next X conference, where they always to go to gallery to work.
Yeah, that would be
conceptual work. Right?
That would be really good. It's a lady in England who paints them, who's had who's lived through a few experiences. So I'll ask her permission, but I think she'd accept it.
That would be absolutely wonderful. Now, do you find that there are many new additions each year to these topics, both UFOs and the paranormal?
I find there's a few new additions from the Anglo-Saxon point of view, especially from Britain, with researchers like David Icke, Neil Hagen, a shamanic illustrator, Michael Sarian, Ellis C. Taylor, all this school of English authors that are really opening people's minds, that have the guts to speak what they really think, who don't stop at different taboos, and who really shows the system as it really is. Something that's enslaved us through religion, through rotten science, and through dividing to rule for more than 2,000, even more than 3, 4, 5,000 years. Now, in the French, from the French point of view, there's not much novelty. There's just a few books about sightings, but that stay very basic. They stay very basic, and they won't talk about subjects like abductions that are very numerous in France. I've spoken to different abductees, to people that don't want to speak, that they won't speak. You have to create a climate of confidence, and they've had experiences similar to the ones in the United States, similar to the ones in Rhodesia, in Zimbabwe have, similar to the ones in Britain, but they just won't speak. And one of the reasons, I think, is that in the mid-1990s there were a few laws that were promulgated in France, laws to fight against cults, la loi anti-secte. Now those laws don't target the real cults like the satanic cults, the Scientology type cults that really pose a threat to society, and they don't target either the Catholic Church, which is the richest cult that's killed the most people. They target individuals who don't want to vaccinate their children, who are vegetarians, who don't want to impose their beliefs on anybody, who just live their life in an ordinary way, that just have a way of life, and they're the ones who are sadly targeted much more than the people that should be targeted.
Very interesting. It's always interesting to see that the role legislation plays. It's so very vital in our society.
Good.
Positive and negative. Now, do you find the French population to be particularly objective in their search for information on these topics?
I'd divide the French population into two categories. 90% of people are in their little cocoon, in their little glass ball. They go to work, they take the metro, go to bed, they think about their retirement, about making a little bit more money. They're struggling to live. They're being made through the system, which is on competition and not on solidarity, to fight with other people to try and get the other person's job and all that. They're not open to anything. You tell them things, they won't even want to hear it. If they do want to hear it, they'll just say, "Oh, that's not important." But there's the other 10% of the population, and they're waking up very quickly. They're starting to understand different topics, and they really want to move things. When they wake up, they're really awake. And I think it's the same case scenario in the States, in Britain, in Australia, in Germany. But in France, when people are awake, they're really awake. And there's quite a few people in the repos ufologic who are like that.
It's very perceptive.
Very
serious researchers. Yes.
Yeah, there's a lot of them, but they don't have enough echo in the media or anything.
And media participation and media discussion of these events is so important. We hope that will improve.
But there's also a problem with some researchers. They'll have the facts, but they'll be frightened to speak too much, which is understandable. But I think at one point, you must start saying the information you've got to broaden people's minds, to free people from this prison, this mental prison.
You know, that just reminds me, I had the opportunity of attending the Las Vegas conference. That page will soon be up on the UFO Global Focus website, and I was so impressed by Linda Moulton Howe's observations. She was particularly discussing, I believe it was a 74 incident near Albuquerque, and people were just so appreciative of all her information.
It's people like that that are needed everywhere.
Mm-hmm.
They're blessings for UFO research. People that aren't frightened of what's around them, that say the truth, that really say what they've discovered. They're blessings. There's a few other examples. Dr. John Mack, Bud Hopkins, in the UK, David Icke, or Stephen Greer from the Disclosure Project. They're all adding their bricks to the edifice.
Presenting a different facet.
Yeah.
Now on this Roswell 60th anniversary this past July, did you find that the French noticed this Roswell event at all, or they didn't take it too seriously?
I'm sad to say that the French didn't mention it at all. It wasn't mentioned in the media. There was just a few lines in the paper saying that it was a hoax. And I tell you why. Until the 1990s, researchers like Kevin Randall, Stanton Friedman, William Moore, and others, but mainly those three, because they're the best known in these states in France, were starting to get the information out. They were saying there had been a crash. They were finding the witnesses, doing field work. Afterwards, some of them went a bit off track, but that's not the problem. At least they did their field work on Roswell. Gildas Bourdais has been doing an excellent job on the Roswell crash. Very, very open-minded. He's been to lots of conferences. I think he's met a few witnesses, a few American researchers. He's done an excellent job. But in the middle of the 1990s came the alien autopsy film, Autopsy, if you like, because it intoxicated the whole subject. It intoxicated the whole subject. Why? Because everybody said it was a hoax, and it possibly was a hoax, but a very good one. They could have even altered a real alien body, but altering it in a way to leave a few details that could suggest there was a hoax, or it was a very well crafted hoax. In any case, that did a great disservice to the Roswell research and to ufology.
Yes, indeed. Disinformation can be extremely powerful.
Yeah. And a few months ago, there was something on the greatest hoaxes. What did they talk about on the French television? The Roswell UFO crash, because they only talk about that film. They don't talk about the masses of people that have been on the field, that have seen the bodies. They just talk about that autopsy, and that's very sad. That's one of the cancers of UFO research.
Have you found that the French are interested in the book Day After Roswell by Colonel Philip Corso?
Like everything that's good, it hasn't been translated into French.
Oh, shame. Mm-hmm.
But a lot of French people say, it's a hoax. They haven't even bothered to read the book. They've just read a few articles on the internet in a few reviews done by a few so-called sociologists, and they've said, it's a hoax. They haven't bothered to read the book. They haven't made themselves any opinion. And a lot of things said in that book are confirmed by independent sources in France, in Europe, and elsewhere.
Very intriguing. Now, approximately 3 weeks ago, there was an important press conference, at least in my humble opinion, November 12th, Washington, D.C., that was organized by Leslie Kean, representative of the Coalition for Freedom of Information. Leslie Kean's a wonderful journalist. Also by James Fox, a well-known producer, a movie producer. I was extremely impressed by the 3 French representatives. The testimony was clear and convincing. Did the French people notice this November 12th press conference in Washington, D.C.?
No, nothing at all.
Oh, because their French participants were just so exemplary. Their credentials were so impressive. The testimony so strong.
That was just mentioned on a few specialised internet sites, maybe on a few specialised radios. I haven't listened to them, but in the mainstream media, nothing at all. Not a thing. And there was a very good conference because it showed a lot of people spoke, saying that the pictures of UFOs were altered, that the pilots had seen UFOs, that there was a lid of secrecy on the whole subject. So it was a very good conference. But again, I'm not questioning the sincerity of the participants. They obviously were people that really wanted to speak, that had seen things they didn't understand. They wanted to get their information out. And I think that's great. But it's the people behind that conference. Why are they letting a conference like that happen now? That's what we should ask ourselves. Like the puppet of the secret government. People like this will never do something to help humanity. They're doing an interview. If they're doing something like this, it's to be used. It's to be used for a plan, and that plan might be to unify the world behind a false extraterrestrial threat. When you see the Hollywood movies, Independence Day, series like Dark Skies, there's always this hostile alien threat. And I think there's some hostile aliens, but they're amongst us. I think the ones that are surveying us, that are going through our skies, aren't hostile at all. They're probably there even to help us. And I've read a few books. I've never spoken to the author, so I don't know if they're true or not, but they seem to ring true about a project called Project Bluebeam, and that would be to stage a false flag alien attack that the people would then all want a world government. They'd ask for a world government thing. So imagine how people would react to a fake extraterrestrial threat. They'd be asking for a one world government. So you must always think of that it's very good that the people are talking, but while people being allowed to talk, is it for our benefit? I don't know. I don't think so.
Intriguing response. Now, I know that you and some of the clientele have attended the Les Repas Ufologiques Parisiennes meetings. I've had the opportunity of attending them as well. Very impressive. I know there's a warm community feeling present at that group of excellent researchers. What particularly impresses you about that group? Les Repas Ufologiques Parisiennes.
Well, I think that it's an original initiative, and it's also an opportunity for all of us to meet up. People that have a different view on life than the one that's given to us by the traditional media. We can meet up to talk about different subjects, and often exchange ideas. And so I think it's very good in that sense. I also think that it's an excellent idea that should be continued, because it's just very good.
Hardly concur there. Definitely agree. Now, I've heard that there have been several excellent European UFO and ET-related conferences. Have you attended any of these European conferences?
I went to the one in Châlons-en-Champagne in 2005.
Oh, do describe.
Yeah.
That sounded wonderful.
I thought it was very interesting. But there again, it's very strange, because they had more or less two conferences. One where there was some more or less open-minded ufologists that were speaking, and the second one where there were more academic ufologists that were speaking. Lots of members from the aesthetic organisations, the SCISOP, from America. I think they participated. So they seemed to, and they were the ones that those skeptics, those insane, shouldn't have the right to speak. Everybody's got the right to speak, to voice their opinions. But what I'm saying is that the press, that they should not just listen to those people. They should listen to the proper ufologists, the ufologists that really do field work, and to those ufologists, and give them a balanced response. But there, it was just the skeptics, and that was sad.
Journalists really do have to remember to present a full spectrum on any subject.
Yeah.
Now, I do remember that you mentioned that at times customers will have questions on ufology. And in the future, I invite you to speak with Joe Montaldo, the International Director of ICAR. He'll be happy to answer any questions of any of your clients. It'd be a pleasure.
That would be great.
Now, this is interesting. I don't know if this has been at all discussed in the French ufological groups, but on Monday, November 26th, Stephen Bassett of the Paradigm Research Group was the party who had organized the September X conference. Well, pardon. On November 26th, Stephen Bassett presented at the Paradigm Research Group site a fascinating page confirming the Rockefeller Initiative, that important meeting. Has this been at all discussed in French circles?
Not at all. Mm-hmm. Not at all.
Paradigm Research Group site is a very worthwhile one to visit. I want to mention that to some of your many customers. Now, lastly, which new developments pardon me, which new developments in research and advocacy would you like to see taken regarding ufology and extraterrestrial fields?
Right. I think there'll be a lot to say about this one. I think first of all there should be a much bigger awareness about subjects such as UFO abductions, Roswell, to go further than Roswell, see what the Roswell crash and how the Roswell crash impacted humanity. I think also ufologists should open to other subjects such as near-death experiences, spirituality, channeling, because a lot of channeling is bollocks, but a lot of it's very good. There's a lot of valuable material that's you realise they all merge. They all seem to merge. Everybody working together, we can understand the nature of the universe, understand how our prison cell's made, and then afterwards, when we go a step further, understand who's pulling the strings behind that, and the full potential of our human spirit, of our human soul, of our physical body. It's only by unified research that we can do that. The trouble is that there's in ufology, like in a lot of things, there's bienséance, what they call règle de bienséance in French, where people aren't allowed to say what they want to.
Protocols for discourse.
Yeah, they'll have protocols. They won't say what they want to because they're frightened of the judgment of the other ufologists, of the other researchers. So they'll limit themselves all by themselves through fear, and it's those boundaries that have to be broken. That's why I think that initiatives like the Disclosure Project are very good, and especially the initiatives done by Dr. Stephen, especially the work done by Dr. Stephen Greer, because he's trying to get the information out without any taboos, without any complexes, before it's taken by the secret government, by secret societies, and used for whatever purpose they want to use it for. People like Dr. Greer are really trying to get the information out so that humanity can share it. And when you read his conclusions, they're the same than that of authors like David Icke. Even they're the same as my conclusions after reading lots of books, meeting different ufologists, going to different conferences, meeting contactees, meeting people who work in government circles. Or through different ways, everybody seems to arrive to the same conclusion. That is that we've been controlled by a force, be it human or alien, for 4,000 years, who's kept us in this sort of state of survival rather than this state of life. That our human souls, much more than we told it is in religion, that we actually godlike beings with infinite potential, and that the universe is an infinite place.
Very intriguing statements. Now, would you like to have a conversation in French? Now it would be just fine. Nous avons du fun.
Yeah, I'd like to speak in French.
Okay.
Shall I shall I say what I've said? Can you turn it off just a second? So